episode 2 of the FNS Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, and with me as always is officially now a teenager, my son Jackson. Hello, Jackson.
What's up, peeps?
Welcome back for episode 2. So, you had a birthday over this past week. You're
Indeed.
now a year older since last time we talked on this podcast, correct?
Correct.
So it was a pandemic birthday for Jackson. So we had a couple aunts and uncles over. We were fortunate enough to have a backyard pool. So there was lots of fun involved there. And then just something to eat, some cake and some gifts. I'm sure your gifts will come up later in the show. Is that part of your segment? Don't get into it now. I'm just...
No, but
It's not? Oh, wow. I assumed
I've got a bunch of other stuff.
Okay. I would assume you would want to talk about some
I just
of the
got
new things you got.
I might briefly, but
okay.
It's not my notes.
That's up to you. So, we are back again to discuss in depth some AEW and NXT that we watched this week again, and we'll go over a couple other things we've noticed from the world of wrestling. We'll also do our third installment of Off the Top of His Head, which Jack is looking for. I dialed up the difficulty a bit this week, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm not confident you'll get all of them, but who knows.
Okay.
So, I don't know, what's new with me? The biggest thing for me is the NBA is back, which is pretty exciting, as you know, for me. Not so much for you.
No, not at all, but...
I'm a huge NBA fan. I've recorded a bunch of games and watched some already. But what I did want to bring that around to was, you just saw a little bit of it, the virtual fans.
Yeah,
which
is interesting.
It's interesting. It's actually quite helpful because...
That's like the wave of the future right there.
And how would you feel about WWE or wrestling in general? Just because one of my big problems is...
I think it would be actually an interesting idea because then it'd be more authentic. Because I feel like more so WWE, their audience, like, whatever the performance center trainees that are there, just feels so forced. It's like they're clearly being told how to react.
We talked about it, not on the air, but it's Vince's dream, right? He has control of the crowd reaction.
Of everything.
Now. With a control freak can finally control how the crowd reacts to his product. So yeah, it's interesting. They're virtual fans, so your actual image is projected onto the seat, quote unquote, that's visible, and then your reaction is captured. And my understanding, as they explained it, is as the play is happening, you have options to push buttons on your screen to cheer or boo or react appropriately, and then it picks that up. So I think that it honestly helps. It makes, there's a little bit of crowd noise. It kind of is easier to forget that there isn't a crowd there. Whereas with wrestling, I find I can't help but focus on the fact, especially...
I also feel bad for the people who are just standing there the whole show.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, probably like hour-long tapings,
right? They're there for several hours, right? So it's definitely an option. I think it's kind of cool, and if this is going to carry on being empty arenas for things, this is a definite option, and this is what happens in some of these situations. It's time for innovation, right?
I just remember one of the things I did. I completed a Build-A-Figure.
Oh, yes. Well, you can talk about that and figuring it out if you want to. Add it to your... Right? If there's nothing else that you wish to sort of discuss off topic, we can get into our news and rumors if you like.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay, so let's move on to news and rumors. John Moxley talks about feeling pressure, and he said the pressure was going on TV, having to memorize a 2-page script written by a madman when you know you're going to look stupid. Something along those lines, right? Like,
just all the scripted promos.
Yes, very probably true. And I guess we're going to get into a promo that was on AEW eventually that's clearly not scripted and was incredible. Yeah. And that sort of draws attention to what Moxley's saying. If you are truly talented, right, you just need a couple bullets and away you go. It doesn't need to be word for word scripted.
Let's keep the AEW train going. Next story.
Yes. My news point was that Eddie Kingston, off of his performance last week, probably signed with AEW officially. Not a surprise, right? That promo was amazing. I heard lots of positive feedback. I didn't hear anything.
And the match was fine. It was like, it's another key match, so it was good for what it was.
It was fun. It was a decent match for sure, and his ability to talk is something not everybody has, so that will keep him employed, I'm sure. So that's good news for him.
Yeah.
I think it's okay news for AEW, whether he's in a wrestling capacity or he does well as a manager / occasional wrestler.
He was a manager when I first saw him.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so that's cool. What else do you have?
So we know that Cody is obviously the TNT champion, and for those who don't know, the belt is unfinished due to the
AKA
current
ugly.
current pandemic. And so on Twitter, Cody replied to a tweet to confirm that the TNT title is set to be finished on August 12th. So hopefully, it's something about gold plating, I think. So hopefully it'll look a little better.
Yes, thank God it's not finished because honestly it looks...
I think it's fine other than the red strap.
If that were the finished product, I would not be a fan, but hopefully they'll clean it up a bit and bring it back looking better.
Yeah.
Anything else?
And then I have one more list. So there might be a post SummerSlam pay-per-view that's supposedly planned.
Yep.
Possibly Payback. And yeah, that's the pay-per-view they've done in the past. Hasn't exactly gone the best. I don't think they've done it since 2017. So that's a little hint for you. And I think there's like that House of Horrors match on there, which is bad, right? There's that. And
amazing. Always amazing.
yeah. And then so I think it'll either be a week or 2 weeks after SummerSlam, which I think is quite stupid. Because I feel like if they do that, it'll be mostly like a SummerSlam rematch show.
And somewhat related to that, I didn't officially have it in the news rundown, but apparently SummerSlam, I think Vince is looking for an alternate location.
Like not the PC?
Right, word is he's tired of it always being in the PC Center right now. Or sorry, the PC. I guess PC Center would be redundant, right?
Performance Center.
So something outdoors, something on a beach, some other venue, probably in Florida, because I don't know where else they could go right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm up for some sort of outdoor, open air, anything. To be honest,
but I think this could result in like maybe another, more cases within the WWE.
We'll see. Hopefully not.
Yeah,
anything else? News and rumors? I didn't have.
That's everything I've got.
Amazing. So with that being said, we will transition into our next segment, which is the AEW Dynamite review.
Yeah.
So Jack, this is the one that you generally take the lead on.
Yeah.
So I'll follow your lead whenever you're ready to go.
So we actually open with like a huge 10-man tag match. So the Inner Circle, like full force. You got Jericho, Jake Hager, Santana and Ortiz, and then Sammy Guevara. And then you've got what they call Best Friends and Friends, which is the Best Friends, which is...
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
Chuck Taylor and Trent, a.k.a. Trent Beretta.
Yep.
And Orange Cassidy, and then... Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, Jurassic Express with Marco Stunt at ringside.
It's a lot of people in there.
Yeah, so it's a lot of people. And then, so they make you kind of think it's going to start with Cassidy and Jericho, right? So, because that's how it starts. But then Jericho immediately tags in Hager.
Jericho's still wearing his stained jacket today.
Yeah.
That's a note I made.
And so it's just kind of like that heel tactic where he acts like they're going to start with the rivalry, but then like he tags out like the big muscle.
Yep.
So, and then Jericho... I think when Cassidy bounces in the ropes and Jericho cheap shots him, and then it just results in everyone brawling for a bit in the ring.
I did have match breaks down, all 10 in ring,
it just like kind of breaks down.
Yep.
Luchasaurus dives on everyone with Marco Stunt piggybacking on him, which I thought was a nice...
that was entertaining.
That was pretty awesome.
Yep. Marco always finds a way to
be entertaining, even when he's not in like much, or even when he's like if he's facing Jake Hager, I'm sure. Like he fought Lance Archer the one time, right?
Yeah, I find it tough to see him in actual full-length matches sometimes. But yeah,
he has a place.
Spots,
he definitely has a place.
For sure.
And they attempt a best friends hug, but then Sammy Guevara tries to interrupt him, like jumps down, but then he like literally lands on his feet right in front of Luchasaurus, and I wrote gets a gang beating.
Yep, that is fair.
And then they basically use heel tactics, and they're ganging up on Trent. Trent just keeps getting beaten down, and basically leads to a hot tag. And I'm sure you have this. Luchasaurus mask was falling off.
Luchasaurus has mask issues. JR handles it poorly, is what I forget what he exactly said, but it wasn't great.
It's not great, but I think it's forgivable every now and then.
Of course.
It doesn't happen a lot.
I just think JR has trouble embracing some of the more out there gimmicks, and he, in his old age, he can't really hide that. He is, in my opinion, the greatest announcer of all time.
He's gone through a lot.
But I don't love him in AEW at times. He's got some issues I won't get into, but He's lost a step in my opinion. But
Yeah.
anyways.
Especially if you look at like all his great calls in the past, and now you just compare it to what he's doing.
And now he's just there.
He's just there.
Some bitter. He's a little bit bitter at times. He sneaks in comments that I don't really appreciate.
Yeah.
I try not to give too much attention to it because I'm trying to enjoy the show. I don't want to be overly critical, but I would be okay if he weren't there and they were just using Excalibur, and Tony even would be okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
And then Jericho attempts to hit Luchasaurus with Floyd, which is their baseball bat.
Yep.
And is stopped by Orange Cassidy. And then Sammy Guevara is about to supposedly get the win. He's like going to the top rope, and then Matt Hardy's music plays to distract him. He's looking at the entrance ramp, and Matt Hardy actually pushes him off because obviously the ref is also distracted. And then Best Friends and Friends win.
Yes. So, a couple things. Did you notice Mr. Details? Hardy, what was he wearing?
Not his broken gimmick. Like,
right.
Oh, he's wearing a shirt which like had all his gimmicks on it. And
So I'm gonna bring that back around in any other business wrestling, but I guess I can just do it now. Apparently, he's going with no gimmicks. Like all of his, he's just gonna be himself, right? He's gonna do none of his stuff. He's been doing sort of all of them in AEW, right? Cycling through all of his characters.
So no more broken Matt Hardy?
No more apparently anything. To me, it feels like
he's accepting his fate as old guy.
I feel like it's more, I'm putting a pause in all of this until there's fans to react to all this, right? Because he's doing all of this stuff.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
For no reaction, so it's kind of this holding pattern until you can get that reaction from the crowd. I could be wrong. So he's going.
I think that's also why he's like managing Private Party, which I think it might just be like kind of this mentor kind of face while he's doesn't really need to be doing anything right now.
Yeah, his body's pretty beat up, so if he can limit himself and sort of train,
especially his spine from all those leg drops,
even work some creative, right? He's clearly got some pretty innovative, cool ideas. He'll have a bit more freedom in this company to execute them. So there's a spot for him for sure.
Yeah.
One thing I would point out just with JR is and this is a criticism, I try not to listen to too much feedback and reviews on stuff before we do our podcast. I kind of want our opinions to be my own and not that I've absorbed. But I did read and listen to a couple things. And a lot of people had the problem with this match because it's the whole AEW, why is the ref not enforcing? There's too many people in. There's double, triple teaming. JR points it out at one point saying something like, I don't remember this being a tornado tag. So that's what I don't love, right? I don't need the announcer pointing out the flaw in the product, right?
Yeah.
So maybe I didn't notice that.
Because they're supposed to kind of keep kayfabe like that and like just be like, I don't know, not criticizing their own product, I guess. They're just like, I think that's for other people to do.
And it's also kind of their company thing, is they're saying their referees, I'm not sure how I feel about it, does a bit too much in some of the matches, but they're saying our refs have discretion. They don't have to hard count it and cancel it. So I don't need him pointing out those flaws is all I'm saying. Sorry, continue.
And so, I agree with all that. And then so our next bit was John Moxley kind of like promo vignette. Basically, he says he doesn't like getting involved in other people's business, and he thought his business with Cage was done, but then they attacked Darby Allin, and he didn't like that, so he kind of made the save, last week. So that's going to be setting up our Tornado Tag main event, which is a no DQ Tornado Tag match, actually, which we'll cover later on. And next is our weekly TNT title match. Cody would defend against Warhorse. Yeah, that's his name.
Sorry, just to go back to the Moxley promo for a second. I liked it in general, but the only thing
it was fine.
I didn't love him referring to Darby as a little guy. Like, you had to attack Darby a little guy. This is the WWE tradition. He needs to wash that off of him, of pointing out the size of people constantly. Anyways, that's just a personal thing.
I'd like to add kind of revolving that is like they always mention people's like weights and pounds. I think that's a lot of WWE, but I think AEW do it too. And it's just like it doesn't matter. They do it in the ring announcing, so you don't have to mention it like every.
I don't mind it being pointed out, but WWE at times it feels like there's from a place of there's a difference, so the little guy doesn't have a chance.
Yeah.
It's one thing to say they're different sizes, and that creates
it's
matchup.
It's another thing to say like,
yeah,
Rey Mysterio versus Big Show.
He has no chance because he's
Rey
small.
Mysterio's got to overcome a lot, or like something like that, right? So.
Yep. Sorry. So you got to Cody versus Warhorse.
Warhorse, and he was doing a lot of headbanging. Like he was like going like
It's his gimmick. I have first thing a rocker gimmick. No contract,
Not
right?
great.
So he's kind of like a walk on. They're giving again this idea that Cody's giving people an opportunity, right?
And my first note is Warhorse applies hold on Cody's arm, locks it on, and Cody would eventually roll out, which I feel like what you've been saying is that's kind of a heel move, right?
Yes.
And like
he's a secret heel, man. I'm telling you, he's undercover heel.
And so we get motivation from Arn. Crisscross running into the ropes, so like Cody would be running one way and like Warhorse would run another way.
Did you not mention Warhorse's announced weight?
Oh yeah, what was it again?
4,000 pounds.
Oh yeah, they like did some crazy thing.
That's super indie stuff.
I mean, it's dumb, but it's like that's the kind of thing that AEW can do.
It's the indie vibe, honestly.
Yeah. So.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
And then we actually got picture-in-picture this time.
We did.
So I think I mentioned it a bunch last week. We did not get picture-in-picture. JR literally counted it down once, but this time we actually got picture-in-picture for once. But
we did.
As you'll find out later, it was not that consistent. So Warhorse would so Cody would be down, and Warhorse would do this thing where he grabs both his arms and just keeps like stomping Cody. It's basically like unprotected stomp. Daniel Bryan would do this better, but anyways, a running double stomp on the outside by Warhorse. He would like run off the apron and stomp Cody's back, which actually looked pretty nice. And then Cody would begin to target the leg, and he would eventually win with the figure 4 leg lock. And then John Silver and Alex Reynolds, I believe they're called, from the Dark Order would come to attack Cody, and this was basically just to set up the debut of Matt Cardona, aka WWE Zack Ryder. He looked really ripped actually, so he was looking pretty good.
Yeah, he's always in great shape for sure.
He's good friends with Cody, so he'd make the save, and I'm pretty sure that sets up a tag match next week.
Okay, so my general thoughts: Warhorse was fine. He just looks like a pretty decent indie worker that they're giving a chance. Which is fine. I don't mind that.
It's publicity for him, so.
But he did, again, and I guess this is the AEW way, and that's their choice, but they gave him a lot, right? Like, this indie guy comes in against one of your superstars and gets in a lot of offense. So, it was fine. I didn't love the match, really. Warhorse didn't do much for me. Some people that know him from the indie scene were excited to see him there. That's great. And the Cardona debut, I'm not going to lie, I don't love the signing. This is starting to feel like, hey, there's WWE guy released. Grab him. It's a lot.
Yeah, but I think this one's more like it's Cody's friend, and I think
this one could be.
I think this one is interesting because he never really got his due in WWE, so I think it's.
Yes.
I think they're choosing who they signed though very well.
He's always been underused. He's good in the ring. I feel like though that.
Like, I feel like that's why also Luke Harper, a.k.a. Brody Lee, was also a decent signing because he was like, criminally underused in WWE.
Yeah, but it's like Sean Spears, this guy. You've got Cameron coming up.
But at least they're not, like, taking, like, trying to take all these, like, big names and, like, at least I feel like they're choosing. Like, Jericho and Moxley, yes, but
they're focusing on characters that have been underused.
But they're doing a good job of original guys. Like, you've got Kip Sabian, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, among others. But
that's who I want them to push. Build it around MJF, Jungle Boy.
Yes. Oh yeah, MJF.
Even
of course.
Wardlow, Darby
Hangman.
Allin, Hangman.
I'm even cool with Kenny
running
Omega
that company.
as well.
It's all focused on non-WWE guys that came from elsewhere.
And so next, Tony Schiavone would be on the entrance stage. He would announce All Out 2, which will be on September 5th, I believe.
And did you notice what he did when it came to... I made a note of this. He announces All Out, but gets cut off when he says it's at. It will be blah, 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 at. It's almost like... Because they don't know if it's going to be in an actual location or not, right? So it was a way for them to get cut off before that.
Yeah, and he would get cut off by... Jericho's theme coming out, and Sammy Guevara would repeatedly call Matt Hardy an SOB.
Yep.
And Jericho announces a rematch with Orange Cassidy in 2 weeks and a debate next week.
Not super thrilled for the debate, but I'm going to.
But I think it'll be funny because 1, it's Chris Jericho, and 2, Orange Cassidy does not talk.
I wrote down Ortiz is funny. I don't know exactly what he did, but
funny.
he's usually mugging
he was like,
the camera for some reason.
Because when Santana said it was like smelled like cat pee after they left, Ortiz
he
would shout, "Smells like cat pee, Tony."
Right. So I wanted to ask you about Cody. Who do you think will beat Cody? I've heard some people speculate, and I apologize. I'd give them credit if I could remember, but I listened and read a lot of stuff, so I'm not sure Rusev was there.
Rusev? I heard he quit wrestling.
You're bringing in outside talent to do whatever.
Oh, then let me think.
Or who do you want to beat Cody?
Who do I want to beat?
Sorry, he didn't prepare this ahead of time.
I don't know. I think Darby Allin would be a cool one.
He would.
Or...
They have a history too, right? So.
Kip Sabian.
Yeah, your boy Kip Sabian.
Yeah.
You never know.
Or Sammy Guevara.
You finished up Inner Circle, so what is it?
Yeah.
I have footage of
FTR contract signing, which I find weird because they've already been in the company for a bit. But anyways, there's going to be a tag team appreciation night hosted by them, which interesting.
And what were some of the rules that are being written into their contract? Did you catch that?
No, the only other thing I caught was Hangman comes in with beer.
I had something about tag ropes, enforcing the 10-second rule. So it sounds like part of their gimmick is like their demands for signing is more old school wrestling rules being enforced, which is kind of interesting because that is their gimmick, right? That they're the old school tag team. So, so then I'm asking you, is the Four Horsemen taking shape here, and who are your dream Four Horsemen? Because it feels like they're all around
because they all have heel potential, FTR, Hangman, and MJF.
That would be amazing. Or Cody as the MJF as well, right? Cody.
I think, Cody.
FTR.
Maybe more so Cody than Hangman because, Hangman is the horse gimmick, but I also think Cody, he's very Flair.
I'm sorry, who's Hangman? Do you mean Hangman?
No.
It's in my notes later. I'm pretty sure. Not just JR was saying Hangman this week.
So JR says Hangman, it's Hangman.
It's a little pet peeve of ours.
Man.
Okay, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, and speaking of Hangman, we got Dark Order versus Hangman and Kenny Omega for the tag titles.
My first note, General Stu Grayson is awesome.
First note was, so if you remember last week in the podcast, I noted that his nameplate said, "Gonna see how this white wrist tape works." This time it said, "Didn't like the white wrist tape," because obviously it's black wrist tape again.
Yes, yeah, some of the little, I don't know what the proper term for those, on their name tags, they have little quotes or sayings are kind of interesting. You got to pay attention for them sometimes.
Yeah. And as Kenny Omega's making his entrance, Hangman would just attack them and kind of start a pre-match brawl. And my first, in-match note is Stu Grayson with an interesting sell on a backbreaker, which, so I guess he took, a backbreaker.
The man sells, the man's crazy athletic, the man has some super cool moves. He's a very underrated wrestler, I feel.
Yeah, Hangman would hit a running shooting star, on the ground, and then they would... One of kind of the Hangman and Omega's kind of things that they do is, just chop people a bunch, so they would just continually chop Evil Uno, which is kind of, it's basically in all their matches, so nothing new there. And so Hangman tries to get involved because he's on the apron and Kenny Omega's getting beat up, and Dark Order used the, heel tactics, I think Stu Grayson's kind of taunting him while, Evil Uno's choking Omega in the corner.
Right.
And Evil Uno uses Grayson as a battering ram against Hangman in the corner. They kind of launched him or something.
Yep.
And Omega break up a count. And then I wrote V-trigger because Kenny Omega hit a V-trigger. It's like a pump knee, and he always it just looks nasty.
Yeah, it looks fantastic, generally.
And Omega would Irish whip Stu Grayson, but then he would do a tope on Hilo to take out Hangman Page, which is very clever because he's Hangman's using his force to make him run, so then he would just jump over top rope, take out Hangman Page, which is nice.
Yep.
Belly to Omega onto Hangman Page, and Stu Grayson would get crotched, and then he would eventually get back up and do a very Montez Ford frog splash. And if you don't know who Montez Ford is, he's in a tag team with the WWE, and he gets insane height on his frog splashes. and Stu Grayson did something kind of similar here.
Yeah.
And then they would eventually hit the buckshot V-trigger combo, which, do you remember what that's called? I think it's like last call or something.
Yeah, it might be. I can't remember.
So, anyways,
can't believe you don't
buckshot
know.
lariat V-trigger combo, and they would win and retain the titles. And so then a Brody Lee promo basically saying that they had the numbers advantage and all their creepers, which are like their little minion kind of people, surround the ring. And FTR would come in and hit him with their cooler.
Yes, there seems to be their trademark.
And it just like, I love how it breaks over his head. It just looks great.
Yep.
And so then, yeah, that wraps up that
I think
segment.
Brody Lee is growing as a leader. He seems a bit more comfortable to me.
Yeah.
The Dark Order's kind of trapped. I don't think there'll ever be a main event sort of storyline, and a lot of people really don't like them at all, but
I think they were good as a tag team, and then like they kind of were evolving, and then it kind of got meh, and then they introduced Brody Lee, and now it's like gradually improving.
Yes, and say whatever you want, Uno and Stu Grayson can wrestle them.
They're still a great tag team.
We're a little biased.
What?
We saw them.
Yeah, we did.
Fantastic. We went to an indie show, which turned into staying for another indie show.
Yeah.
Which they wrestled. That was the match of the day for me. That was them against the Strong Hearts, right?
Yeah.
Who are affiliated with AEW as well somehow.
And
a fantastic match to see live.
Yeah.
Those guys were amazing.
And I think they're still holding their own as tag team, even though they're kind of like stuck in this. They're kind of within this faction that's like so many other people. You've got like 5, 10.
There's a lot
Brody
now.
Lee.
I wonder if they'll pare it down eventually.
Colt Cabana, and then you got Silver and Reynolds as well, and Anna Jay.
Right. I was struggling for her name right there. You got it. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I kind of like
Order.
the thing they're going with right now is that like because he keeps taking Colt Cabana away, right? Because like I like how like because Colt Cabana was on commentary during this match.
He was.
And you really see that like he thinks Brody Lee is such a great person.
Right.
But then you see like this other side of like the Dark Order just like being like total douchebags, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's just like because remember when like they were all attacking Hangman the last week?
Yes.
He literally went and took Colt Cabana away, and then the rest would beat him up.
Yep.
Right. So I think that's a very interesting kind of bit. I feel
like
like
Colt
it could,
isn't one of the like minions. He's more like a lieutenant or something.
or like, and he's just like it's kind of he joined because he was losing and like he's winning, so he's like, oh yeah, this is great, and Brody Lee's trying to like I think kind of keep that belief.
Yeah.
And I think this could be like he'll turn into like the unwilling member and like eventually maybe break out, which I think could be interesting for Colt Cabana because I'm honestly not a fan of his, but this could be interesting for him.
Yeah, it could be. I did notice that Brody thanked Kenny Omega for being there, and that sort of draws attention to the fact. Remember, Kenny was the last
week FTR would make the save.
So it's just that
Kenny Omega would come
little subtle reminder.
Still reminding you of that potential breakup story, which is good because I don't think they'll do that anytime soon unless there's fans back. But
who, Omega Page?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully they. And I love that they just keep teasing it, right? And I have no problem with that. Next, I think it was
Britt Baker promo.
Best heel in the business.
Yep.
This wasn't my favorite bit of hers, but it was still fine.
She would talk trash about Big Swole and then basically saying she'll agree to a big match or a match with Big Swole. Sorry. As long as Big Swole beats an opponent of Britt's choosing.
Right.
Got any predictions? I don't know, but.
No, I don't really know. This was a very, very short piece for Britt Baker. Not my favorite one of hers, but not bad.
Who's someone like it's got to be someone maybe big, like
big in fame or big in size or both.
Either maybe I'm not sure. Maybe this could be because isn't Awesome Kong still signed?
Yeah, but I don't know if she can work anymore. I don't know if she's signed either. To be honest, could be. She might be able to do one match.
That's an option, but I don't know. I feel
so they're
like
building a bit of intrigue, right? Letting us wonder who it's going to be at least, which is fine.
Got Hikaru Shida versus Diamante.
Yep.
Diamante new start. I thought this was a fine match. She would offer a handshake, so I think Diamante a bit of a heel here because Diamante would shove her.
Yes, my first note was that Diamante would seem to be working heel, right?
Yeah.
Did you know last week I said I didn't know who she was and hadn't seen her?
Yeah.
She was in Impact. She
really?
was part of LAX.
Uh-huh.
Which I'd forgotten. I still barely can even picture it, to be honest.
Looked it up.
But I guess I had seen her. Look it up on your own time. Keep going.
Okay. she would, so they would be on the outside, and she would do the thing where she drapes her over the barricade and hit her with a running knee, which looked pretty nice.
Yep.
Diamante would do some nice rope stunner, kind of like a stun gun kind of stunner, where, you stun them on the ropes.
Yes.
Not like a stunner, but where you stun them on the ropes. Anyways,
I had some of the botched Code Red roll up as well.
Yeah, botched. I wrote failed sunset flip. There'd be a Falcon Arrow by Shida and then a running knee for the win.
Yes, I like the Falcon Arrow running knee combination. It looks good every time.
I think it should be a knee into a Falcon Arrow, because Falcon Arrow would sit out so you can get a pin like that. Pin. But
makes sense.
I thought this was fine.
Yeah, I had nothing overly impressive about Diamante.
There's nothing interesting about this.
No.
It was just...
I just put they need to fill a tag roster, right? So Diamante, they can introduce her and then have her partnered up with somebody.
So then we got the women's tag cup rules. So
yep.
We got that. It's called the Deadly Draw. So it's going to be a random draw. Everybody draws colors. Matching colors become team, and the selections are final. And tournament is on YouTube on Monday at 7.
I'm a sucker for these random tournaments. If it's done well, you can create new alliances and new rivalries, depending.
And so you mentioned Cameron earlier, and that's because Nyla Rose would be interviewed along with Vicky Guerrero, her new manager, and Nyla Rose would draw purple, and former WWE superstar Cameron would be, the interviewer said, oh, she drew purple as well. So I'm just going to look up her name.
Unless she has improved a ton. She was, really bad in the ring. So
Ariani or something. I think she's using her real name. So whatever that is.
I don't understand this signing other than they just need. It'll be like some of the women that were in the Mae Young. They were there for the tournament and then gone.
She could improve. I don't know. I don't really care.
But
could be an interesting tournament. And I think this was the highlight of the show. We've got
coming up next.
MJF's presentation
from his Burberry podium. I had that plaid that that's very specific.
Okay, so my first note was no picture-in-picture. AEW continues lies, because there was no picture-in-picture,
even though it was announced to us. I think.
And it's set up kind of like a presidential thing with the podium and whatnot. And he says we were all stupid. He mocks the bench warmers, which people in the crowd just kind of standing there.
Yep,
says
works
Mox,
down, rips the fans, rips the bench warmers around the ring.
Says Mox is threatened because he's always winning, drawing more numbers than him, which is one of my other notes. Says WWE mentions WWE says Moxley came from Titans.
Right.
It was very good. He says Mox cosplays as a certain star, and then he says that's a Stone Cold fact. So saying Mox kind of cosplays a Stone Cold character,
Steve Austin,
which is pretty good. Breaks the fourth wall and talks about ratings, saying he draws more numbers on average than Moxley. Claims Moxley's reign has brought ruin to AEW, which I think was kind of the overall thing he was trying to convey here.
Yep.
And goes on a bit of a rant, and I think this is the greatest promo yet. I think it's very good.
This was my favorite thing of the week. In the middle, I just have this is amazing.
I think us talking about it wouldn't do it justice, so I think if you're interested, you definitely gotta watch it.
This would be it.
And MJF would challenge him to a match at All Out.
We went back and watched it again after the end of the show, and this is pro wrestling to me. He feels like he's right. There's heel logic there, right? His record, he has not been pinned, and the fact that it's through some shady tactics and some cheating, probably, that's a detail. The heel's not interested in that, right? The bottom line is, he has a better record. This guy comes from WWE. He gets all the attention. He's basically picking his opponents. He's avoiding me. What was the line that I love so much? Did I write it down? My talent outweighs your tenure, John.
Yeah.
Saying that he's so talented, all of Moxley's experience and the fact that he's from WWE and has all of these credentials don't matter, right? This guy is so comfortable and confident, and it's clearly not scripted. It's clearly just he has a few ideas and he runs with it. He's good in the ring, not great, but his ability to talk, he will have a job in this industry forever until he doesn't want one, because there's nobody else right now that can talk like him. Yeah,
and for me, I think, so he's been getting a lot of Miz comparisons, WWE's The Miz, and I feel like this really contrasts nicely with Miz's 2016 Talking Smack promo.
Oh, with Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, against Daniel Bryan, and I thought, because that's
when they let him go not scripted, right? Same idea.
So I think if you're going to draw Miz comparisons, I think this is a very good place to draw that comparison as well. I think that's
some of these guys are
nice.
creative, talented people, and WWE just stifles that, right? So they get here and they're allowed to sort of.
If you look at Matt Hardy in TNA, he flourished there.
Remember, I made you guys watch the final.
I didn't
was that
know
Final Deletion?
It was
I loved it so much. I made my entire family, my wife and younger son and Jack, watch it back in the day.
Yeah.
All right, so.
And one of my bullet points right here is FTR, the Young Bucks, Hangman, and Omega will take on the Dark Order's 12-man tag, so
this
upping the ante.
I mean, it'll be exciting at times, but this multi-man stuff is
this is a little extreme. That 8-man tag at Fyter Fest was fantastic.
I have to say they're generally fun when they're over.
Yeah,
I like them.
I think it's gonna be better than WWE's, because especially with all their contrived rules.
Could be. All right, main event.
And so this is the no DQ tornado tag match: Darby Allin and Jon Moxley versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, because they are kind of aligned now. Darby Allin no show because his theme played, but he kind of didn't really show up. Taz would cut a promo, and then kind of backstage, Ricky Starks cut a fantastic promo. Like, it was very good.
He rambled a bit, but it was good.
I think it was
he
very
has
nice.
Really good energy. He's super confident. I think that
it was very nice.
He's an asset.
And so then they would come out and Darby Allin would do his cough and drop off the stage, which I thought was great.
Sort of out of nowhere, right? That one?
It was cool. They would brawl on the stage a bit before the match started, and you mentioned this, his arm paint.
Yes, it was really cool looking. I thought
it kind of it was like the bone, his bones, I guess.
Yeah, I think it looked like basically his arm with the skin removed. I think it was cool.
And there's a crossbody botch on the outside. You kind of noticed that a bit. So if you want to talk about that quick.
There was some sort of botched catch, and then the recovery. He just immediately
picked him
jumped back into his arms. Right, it looked like they didn't find a clever way to sort of recreate him being in his arms. It was Allin in Cage's arms, right? So he just kind of jumped back into Cage's arms, and it looked pretty awkward.
Yeah, I think the best solution would be to say he missed him and went into the barricade, but.
Yeah, love Darby Allin, but that was a bit of an awkward.
So I have a note that says Moxley grabs trash can, but I had a typo and it says Moxley garbs trash can, so that's my bad.
Garb those.
But I do love trash cans. I love when they get slammed on them. It's just like the dent is just like it's just cool.
I don't know what Cage was doing, but because I'm just secondary notes for this, so I just kind of put my reactions mostly. I just have Cage crazy power.
Oh yeah, because he did a WSM slam. I call it that because it's the world's strongest slam, which is Mark Henry's finisher. And because I don't know what's actually called, so I just call that. And he would also have power bomb, so you do that to Moxley and Allin at the same time, which was very nice.
Yep.
And Ricky Starks would hit this nasty leap. I call it a leaping spear.
Really good spear.
It was.
Everyone
cool.
can do a spear,
that could
but
be
not everyone does a spear well.
Yeah, that could be like a signature move right there.
Yeah, he looked
Mox would do a pretty nice pile driver, another trash can.
Ricky can't
double.
catch. Remember I had that?
Oh yeah.
They threw him at a really easy toss of a trash can, and he just
a
missed
double
it.
Alabama slam on a trash can.
Yep.
Cage would attempt a buckle bomb on Darby Allin, but Moxley would run to the corner and catch him in the corner, which I thought was actually really clever.
Yeah, that was cool, and I don't like buckle bombs, so you didn't have to take it. That's good.
And then Darby Allin would do so he has a skateboard with no wheels, but has thumbtacks on the bottom, so you would do a thumbtack skateboard stomp on Starks, for the win. And then he would stare at Mox and point at the title, and so I think there's a title match between Darby Allin and Jon Moxley set for next week.
With a really good shot of Stark's back full of tacks and already bleeding, right?
And that will wrap up our AEW review and coverage and whatnot.
It does. Good show overall, I thought. MJF's promo was
that promo
amazing.
was very good. And even the Ricky Starks one, I think it might not get as much attention because of the MJF one, but I think deserves attention as well.
And the tag matches were good, especially the title one for me. At some points it was a bit too busy. The women's match wasn't that important. What was his name? The Warhorse. That match wasn't that great for me, but overall an enjoyable show.
I think the thing with the TNT title matches, I think that's just the point of it. It's some of them aren't going to be great, but I think it's just the opportunity kind of thing.
It is, and that he's constantly defending, and he'll defend.
He's overworking himself.
Right.
Anyways, that's going to wrap that up.
Our next segment, moving into, is off the top of his head. So Jack has dominated this the first couple times we've done it. So this is basically, for anyone that doesn't know, I come up with a topic or question or something, and he just gets to flex his wrestling trivia knowledge here. So this one I think is the hardest one. So out of 8, I'm going to predict that you'll get 5. We'll see if you do better. So 8 men in history have held the championship for I guess they're talking
What championship?
They're talking about the major one at the time, I guess.
Okay.
Because it's spanning the history, of WWE. So for a continuous reign of 1 year or more.
Like the WWE
So who
title?
would they be?
CM Punk.
Okay, so hold on. CM Punk is correct.
AJ Styles.
AJ Styles is correct.
Bruno Sammartino.
Bruno Sammartino is correct. You're at 3.
Bob Backlund.
Bob Backlund is correct. We're at 4.
Hulk Hogan.
We're at 5. So you're missing 3. One of them I don't think you'll get at all.
Superstar Billy Graham.
No.
So
So you're 5 of 8. You already got what I thought you would. 1. So none of the ones left are currently active. One guy was recently active. I'm surprised you haven't gotten.
I don't know. I should know this.
You gonna give up?
No.
You don't have all day.
Macho Man?
Correct.
Oh, sweet.
6. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time, but when he was mid-card heel, not when he was
Bret Hart?
Okay, so 6, I think we're going to call it. I'm going to give you 15 seconds. Think jorts.
John Cena?
John Cena is 7.
Triple H?
No. And then we're going way back. Pedro Morales was the other.
Oh, I should have gotten that.
Yeah, really? Well, you did really well, considering. That wasn't bad. You got 6. You beat my prediction of 5. I would have gotten...
I definitely knew CM Punk and AJ Styles. Cause
I probably would have gotten Hogan, Cena, I don't know, Punk, I remember.
Punk, because I played the 2K15 showcase, and it's like all about Punk and Cena.
So you did pretty well.
Yeah, and then AJ Styles is recent.
I knew I had upped the difficulty there. Okay. Alright, so that brings us to our NXT review for the week, which
That's mostly you.
Full disclosure, we watched in chunks and just finished it right before recording this. We just finished the main event. So we'll talk about that. And the show starts with a Keith Lee Dijakovic Cross recap from last week's match.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of building for a future match, it looks like, between Lee and Cross. Obviously, that seems to be where we're going with the main event.
Probably TakeOver 30.
Yes, I'm assuming it will be TakeOver 30, which I think we'll probably do a bonus podcast review of that, I would think.
Yeah.
TakeOvers being my favorite
and
thing
then
in wrestling.
All Out.
We'll do any pay-per-views for AEW or NXT.
Because AEW, you're not going to get a lot of pay-per-views, so I think we definitely should.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Continue.
I enjoy doing this. Moro hypes TakeOver 30 as Io Shirai's themes plays. Io's attacked by Dakota Kai, and then Tegan and Candice LeRae run in. The match starts off with LeRae and Kai versus Shirai and Nox, and we're underway.
Yeah, it's it's Shirai and Nox, and then versus Kai and LeRae, right? So,
I had here, there's lots of crowd noise this week. Like, it was really loud. Lots
almost
of banging on the glass.
So.
A little bit. The banging on the plexiglass could stop a little bit to loud.
I think that's unnecessary.
Right. Nox and LeRae start and then tag in their partners. Kai and Shirai start with some quick action with Shirai standing tall. Right. Kai takes control and brings Io to the corner and tags LeRae. Kai back in and Io is isolated in the heel corner. Kai works heel with chokes and a suplex to Io. Io hits a flapjack to turn the tide, but doesn't tag out, which I thought was strange. She was clearly playing what they call the face in peril, like the one tag partner getting sort of dominated and then waiting for what's called the hot tag to the partner waiting. So it seemed like she freed up the chance to get that and then didn't take it. But anyways, Io can do no wrong almost as far as I'm concerned, so I'm going to forgive her.
Except for her moonsault.
The Lotus Lock I thought looked awesome. She puts on Dakota Kai. Candice LeRae comes in and breaks it up. The faces are outside now. LeRae follows and throws Nox into the stairs. We're back from commercial with Nox and LeRae colliding, smacking heads, I guess, and both are down. Io has shoulder tackles to Kai, acrobatic stuff from Io, and Kai is down. Io's palm strike, which I think always looks awesome, to LeRae on the apron. Springboard dropkick to Dakota Kai for a near fall. Io sets up for a moonsault, but Kai attacks and hits her, and they fight on the top rope until Kai gets hung up and Io stomps her, which looks nice, for a near fall. That spot sometimes bugs me because it's somebody kind of cooperating and sitting there upside down and holding themselves.
Wait,
but
like the corner stomp.
Yeah,
I think it's
okay
more like they're trying to get up. And
yes. It's all about the person that's taking it looking like they're...
I think it's more, at least in kayfabe, they're trying to, like, get themselves up,
Yeah.
I think.
Leray takes a 619. I apologize, I forget what EO calls it.
Tiger Fang kick, which
go.
is the technical name for
Thank you. After being tagged in, another missile drop kick, and Shirai is on fire. Just sort of taking on everybody at this point. High energy, high pace, she's fantastic. Double knee to Leray, tope to Kai outside. Shirai hits a deadly looking moonsault.
I called it a moonsault meteora because that's not what it was, but that's what it looked like.
She definitely got up high, and it looked like it almost caught her right in the head.
Yeah.
This was a really fun, fast opener. The women's division is stacked.
Yeah. Although I would like to add, I think Io Shirai should be a heel again.
All 4 of these women are impressive, and Io worked her butt off for the final third of the match. She, in my opinion, is one of the best wrestlers in the world, period. And I do much prefer as a heel, but I don't even care. I just think she's...
even if she just keeps that badassery about it, because I think the issue is because she came in as like an uber babyface, which I don't think suited her.
No, I agree.
And because I think she...
Then when she went heel with that theme and the new look,
I just think even I think in the heel, she was able to flourish her moveset more, because I feel like when she was a face, I don't know, I just didn't think she was that good of a wrestler, and like I think now it's just like...
I agree, I've come to really appreciate
she's so much better.
She's amazing. That women's division is stacked. It's one of the best things to watch on there. It's one of my favorite things in wrestling.
The next match I did not get much of. I literally have 2 notes for it.
That's okay. You missed a couple things before that. Recap.
Yeah, I was also eating lunch, so.
In your defense, you're crushing some chili.
Yeah.
Recap of Cole McAfee.
How about Dum Dum?
No, be nice. Segment, Cole freaks out at being called small. So again, this
scripted.
This feels main rostery, seeping
scripted.
into my pure NXT, where we have to point out how small people are now. This is clearly a work. People were debating whether it was or wasn't. I assumed it was right from the get-go. I have clearly a work, and I hate it. I don't like McAfee. I long for any other storyline other than this undersized thing. Like, stop pointing it out. These guys are fantastic.
Especially when it's about Adam Cole.
Yes.
That's not nice.
It just looked really contrived, and it felt like a main roster. And
also, I find Pat McAfee very annoying. Like, when he's on the kickoff panels, I want to, like, run away.
There's nobody on the kickoffs I really want to see.
Yeah, like, they have Booker T and the coach. And
I feel bad for Renee.
It makes me barf.
So then they tell us of a Twitter war between Gargano and Strong. So Regal is going to...
Which is also based off of kind of that triple threat match that happened last week.
Right.
It's also kind of off the back of that as well, which I think that kind of started the Twitter war, which leads into the match. And
so this match happens right away, and probably the worst match this guys could have would still be good. They're both amazing. So Gargano versus Strong to the mat early with lots of grappling. No real advantage for anyone. Submission attempts and reversals. Pause for appreciation. They do that spot where if the crowd were there, they would applaud because they're both so skilled and anticipating each other's moves with reversals ready.
Yeah.
Back to the ground with pin attempts by Strong. Gargano applies the Rings of Saturn, which I thought looked really cool.
That's like my one note besides the end.
You made a note of the Rings of Saturn?
It's a cool submission, and Neville used to do it to perfection.
Oh, imagine when he comes back. Boy, oh boy. I love
AKA
Pac. I don't think his name's come up yet, but I love Pac. Headlock takeover by Gargano.
Bastard.
To their feet, lots of near misses and reversals with a few moves hit along the way. Abdominal stretch reversed into a backbreaker by Strong. Forearms from Strong. Front suplex, Gargano to the apron. Gargano jumps in, gets awkwardly caught and into a backbreaker. A twisting flatliner I thought looked pretty nice from the second rope by Gargano.
The tornado flatliner. It's kind of like what he does sometimes instead of a tornado DDT.
It looks nice.
Yeah, he does that. Like, it's part of like his usual offense, I'd say, and it does look good. So I like the move.
Back elbow and kicks from Roddy. Angle slam countered into the Gargano escape. We have an up kick exchange. I thought Roddy's up kicks looked really good. They actually replayed his. Both are down. Up with chops and enziguri. Fireman's carry.
Roddy would destroy him in a chop battle.
Yeah, well,
his
Roddy's
chops are
heavy.
And he can get some good knees in.
Yes. Fireman's carry reversal from Gargano. Goes outside, Strong into the barricade, then the ring post, then the plexiglass. Back into the ring where Gargano hits his DDT.
They're calling it the final beat.
Right, which is what? Describe it.
Slingshot DDT.
Right. And it's over. So
I think one of the flaws in this match is that they're both heels. I think Johnny Gargano is horribly miscast right now, and I just think it did not work in the match's favor. As an in-ring piece, it was nice, but I think it would have worked much better if Gargano was a face.
So my comments, this furthers no storylines, and Gargano seems a bit lost. But it's still a good match between two amazing wrestlers, regardless of the story. It's good, but they're capable of better, right?
Yeah, I think Gargano definitely seems lost. I think in Candice LeRae's case, I think it's okay, because I think she was kind of boring as a face, actually, so I think she might need it, but...
They're both just such good faces. Johnny Gargano is one of the all-time great faces.
Yeah, Gargano does not.
But maybe, again, you hold off until there's a crowd.
Yeah, I don't think he should ever be a heel.
Hard.
I think this heel run started out good because of how justified the turn was, but I think it's just without Ciampa, I don't think he's much. I think as a babyface he can survive, but if...
Man, I forgot about Ciampa.
Yeah, Ciampa's just kind of gone, and I feel like they're just not much without each other. Even if they're not feuding, as long as they're both in NXT, it just feels right.
NXT is not at its peak right now, for sure.
No, not at all.
But there's still some good stuff there, and it's never a case of the talent. There's more talent in wrestling right now than there ever has been. I'm not critical of the talent in the ring. It's just
how they're being booked.
The plans and the storylines and the presentation. It's not their fault, really. Kai is interviewed and said she doesn't care about anyone else. She's the number one contender, and she's in Io's head. Rhea Ripley interrupts with a new hairstyle that Jackson loves.
My only note is Rhea Ripley ugly hair, because like she bleached it blonde, and like I feel it takes away some of her like I don't think it makes her look cool, and like I think it just looks stupid. I just think it really takes away from like the kind of tough girl cool look that she had.
Could be.
Know?
I can't care that much about hair,
but like I just don't think it looks as good. It just looks weird. It's like she bleached her hair so blonde, it's like Elsa color.
Kinda.
Like, it looks stupid.
So she interrupts with her new hair and has a problem with Kai being next. Io is hers, and they'll see what Regal says about it. Ripley, she's cold for me right now through no fault of her own. I think she's got massive potential. She's got a cool look. She can wrestle. She's
other than her hair.
got really good size. She doesn't really look like too many other divas, but they've just sort of... clearly backburnered her lately.
He said divas.
Who did?
You did.
Sorry, I did. Ew.
You said that's not. Wow.
We did point that out. Someone said it last week.
I think JR. No, Excalibur.
I
Morrow.
thought it was Morrow.
No, it was Morrow. Right.
He referred to the Divas division or something, which was in NXT was shocking. But I just said it there, so clearly anyone's capable. Wow, I apologize.
Wow, Dad. Yeah.
It's not a time in wrestling I like to remember that division. Okay, so then it moves to an interview with Thatcher backstage. He doesn't know what push means in terms of wrestling, other than to hurt other people was his basic, and that he says he'll win his match that's coming up. So we have Undisputed Era backstage. O'Reilly is fired up, and they're back to changing the business.
Yeah!
I put, let's hope this jumpstarts this faction.
They better be awesome again, or else I will lose my mind, because they're the best. They're so good.
So they are great when they are heels, the cocky, and the sort of like the clever, witty humor. For this past, month or two.
But the whole Dexter Lumis thing sucked.
Where they were...
Not because I don't like Dexter Lumis.
Well, they were focusing them on humor too much, and it was ridiculous. With the whole
it just
therapy with O'Reilly being the therapist was stupid. And when they were trying to do their little things like the Inner Circle, those little videos, I thought they were terrible. They just need to...
be awesome.
Right? They need to be the tough, cool heels that are like the witty smart Alex. That's their humor.
I think if they get ruined, I don't think there's any hope for anybody else. Because they're some of the best that NXT has. If they don't make it through this, I don't know how well anybody else will fare, you know?
But they need to be freshened up, and I'm hoping this is it. That they're back to being
Gargano needs to be face, and I think it'd be cool to see, I think they could do DIY again. I think... it would be cool to see them fight Undisputed Era.
DIY FTR.
Like, imagine it DIY versus Fish and O'Reilly, or O'Reilly and Strong. Just imagine, a blood feud like that, and,
And their tag team division is not good right now. So
I'm saying, I think Gargano... Because I feel like it's always focusing on the feud between Gargano and Ciampa. Yes, it's fantastic.
Yes.
But I think with the feud, you also need to, have them as a team more, because then I think the feud could be more meaningful.
Hey, I'm fine with
more,
them just starting that right back over from the beginning again with some other amazing tag
Again,
team
they could team again,
and go
and
back
that
to
would
revival
reset it a bit. Anyways,
style. So yes,
a bit of a going
sorry.
off topic a little.
That's okay. I think that's kind of, I like that.
Yeah.
Everybody can watch this stuff, but it's our opinions that are sort of hopefully what makes it a little more interesting.
Right.
So we get good old Shotzi Blackheart versus Mercedes Martinez. Okay. Not a big fan of Shotzi. I like.
If you don't know who she is, you'll know how lame she is, because guess what? One of her catchphrases is, "Eat my tank."
Welcome to the ball pit.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yes.
I probably won't say much because I don't like Shotzi at all, so you can cover.
She
Although
is
I do have notes.
Pastiche of 1,000 gimmicks.
She has like green hair, and she rides in a little tank to her entrance, and it's not good. And so she came in kind of as a nobody in like the Royal Rumble, and then I was like, nah, she's not great. And then they did like this horrible vignette, and that was just like, it was so.
I've seen her in indie promotions. I'm pretty sure it was Championship Wrestling from Hollywood,
terrible.
and she wasn't even a standout there. And you know what I mean? You should.
Anyways, please continue.
It's okay. So I like Martinez's presentation so far. I think her theme, her entrance, her gear looks cool. I don't mind that she's part of the Robert Stone brand.
She's
great. Last week she said that they are just there to handle all of the stuff she doesn't want to do, and she's just there to hurt people. So I'm here for that.
But she'll never replace Shayna Baszler.
Yes, you mentioned that. Shotzi starts out in control.
Very good.
Quickly gets thrown outside. Stone yells at her, and Martinez attacks from behind. So already Stone is benefiting Martinez, right? Even with the wrestling side, he's sort of helping her. Back inside with forearms to Shotzi on the ground. Fisherman Buster reversed for a 2 count for Shotzi. Shotzi on offense, and I have lots of mugging after basic moves. So basically, she hits these pretty basic moves and then screams into, like, faces the camera and makes a face and screams.
Or she does like that weird wolf scream.
And I feel like it's going to be one of those things that now that I've pointed it out, you'll probably notice it more. She does a move that pretty much everyone on the roster can do and then screams into the camera. Beth refers to her offense as creative, which I thought was a creative comment in itself, right? So
doing the best in the worst situation, I guess.
Yeah, senton to Martinez in the ropes. Spinebuster by Martinez after Shotzi runs the ropes for the 1,000th time. This is another thing I noticed. Like 80% of her offense involves her running the ropes.
Yeah, she like does this weird spinning facebuster thing, which I think is gross.
Yeah. Yes, she's.
But I do kind of notice that now that you mention it. Like.
Yes, she's gonna run the ropes even
if it doesn't,
overkill. It doesn't make sense sometimes, but she'll still do it.
It's like she'll do like a running DDT.
Release German from the top to Blackheart, which looked good.
I've seen Drew McIntyre do that before.
And Martinez leaves her legs hooked, right, so that she's still sort of hanging from the top rope after she releases the German.
Drew McIntyre would kind of do it, and then he would just like kind of like flip, flip.
I
remember he would do that like a Tower of Doom, so like someone would be superplexing someone, and then he would have fallen down, and you would German suplex that person, and they would be superplexing that other person. Right. It would be really cool. So it gave me that kind of memory, which was nice. It was very well done.
And then a Fisherman Buster by Martinez for the win. You know I'm a sucker for any kind of brain buster. It's one of my favorite moves.
No, it was like a air raid crash. It was like
it
was like that Drew McIntyre move that he does where like he runs.
Like the white noise or whatever it was?
Yeah, sort of.
Was it?
It was more that.
My fault.
It looked
My bad.
Yeah. It's fine.
Shotzi's not great. Obviously, we've made our opinion clear. But
apologies, but I will probably bag on her a lot.
She can be fodder for the mid-carders, right? While she improves.
Yeah,
so
I'll enjoy
she gets
her
better,
as fodder.
Maybe figures out her gimmick right now. I feel like she's dialed it up to like 11, and if she dialed it back to like 6 or 7,
or changed
it might be okay. But she can learn there. It is developmental for a reason. She can get better. They obviously like something about her, so right now she can just be like mid-card.
Although that being said, it's less developmental with it being on TV. Although I've heard they might be acquiring Evolve, so
they have,
which is an indie. Yeah, they acquired it.
Might just be for the library. They might not actually produce any more stuff. I don't know.
But yeah,
hopefully they do.
I do hope she changes a lot.
What I'm thinking might happen is as NXT starts to get sort of infected, would be the word I use, by like main roster stuff. If they do keep running Evolve might become the NXT, you know what I mean, where they're truly developmental and they're practicing stuff, whereas this is
I
now.
can get used to that.
And my NXT is moving towards being a third brand, which clearly I don't like, but maybe something like Evolve.
But if we,
if
I
it
feel
even
like
works.
I'd be more okay with it if we get NXT as in the form of Evolve. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think NXT's staying where it is.
I
probably.
think but
it would be a fourth
I'm saying
brand, but
if that happened,
yeah.
I think it would be nice. But anyways.
So I have Rich Holland, but it turns out it's Ridge Holland video.
Ridge, yeah.
Coming for the North American title. I have seen him on
Yeah,
UK.
I've seen him a bit on UK. He looked kind of weird, and I was not impressed. And
he's super imposing physically. He's like a Lesnar Goldberg kind of vibe.
I think the part of the thing that didn't do him good on UK was there's also Walter there, and Walter's much more imposing than.
Yeah, this guy I'm sure is pretty green, like new to the business, but he has a look they're gonna love, and he's a big, powerful guy. So we'll see.
I think he has potential, but I think also the thing that might not be great for him is you've got like Cross and Dijakovic and Killian Dane and Keith Lee, and you've got all these big guys, and so when he comes in, they might try to present him well, but I feel like it could be like he might just be just another big guy. I feel like he could turn around.
And they might start him off slow. He might lose this first match, and they'll sort of.
Because he's in a triple threat
But let me put it this way: as we're saying, like
I'm not a huge fan of him getting an immediate opportunity.
Yeah, it seems a bit. There's other guys that probably could go in there, but I would rather they're bringing in someone I barely know into their developmental into NXT than bringing somebody, a superstar, back from the main roster. Like when they bring Charlotte back or something, that bugs me. I would way rather this is the developmental, this is for new people, and some of them will be good and some of them won't.
Where's like Pete Dunne? Because if they're able to bring in this Ridge Holland guy, how can they not bring in Pete Dunne?
Yeah, I don't know what his story is, to be honest.
I'd love him to be in that ladder match.
Look that up for news for next week. What's up with Pete Dunne, our boy?
Yeah. Anyways, there's a triple threat hype package. That's like way later.
Yeah, Keith Lee out to the ring to talk. Dijakovic is a grown man and he'll be fine. He turns his attention to Cross. He's mad and swears to prove it, which I put in brackets AEW question mark, because AEW has swearing every week, right? And NXT's sort of trying.
Like, my basically overall just that bit was like he's saying how Cross has his attention now, I guess.
Yes, all of Cross's extra BS means nothing if he won't come to the ring face to face. He's calling Cross out.
Gets Cameron Grimes.
But he gets my boy Cameron Grimes instead. I love this guy. Just find him super entertaining. He brings a lot of energy.
And we saw him alive a bit in Impact before he
can wrestle, man. No doubt about it. He's a lot of fun.
I wrote Grimes gets mauled.
He gets Cameron Grimes instead. Yeah, in brackets. Lee should be talking about Grimes, and then Lee unloads the belt before. And he says that Lee unloaded the belt before Grimes could take them both. Grimes is going to take the belt and go to the moon. Lee then kills him, and the lights go out. Scarlett approaches silently with her gloves ahead because she's sort of waving the one glove in front of her, I think. Grimes attacks Lee and gets a huge spirit bomb for his trouble.
Although I was kind of disappointed that's not sit out because that's part of the spirit bomb, I think.
Right. It still looked pretty
Anyways.
good. I put that I didn't love when Scarlett entered, and it was sort of this silent, supposed to be eerie, creepy thing, and there were some of the people yelling and screaming. I thought it sounded not great.
Yeah. Just like they're banging on the plexiglass the whole time.
Yeah, I didn't.
That would be annoying.
Okay. Cross is on screen questioning what type of friend Lee is for the way he treated Dijakovic. He wants a title shot the easy way or the hard way. He won't explain what that is, but it will make everyone suffer. And then he hits us with the TikTok
I wrote demands title match or everyone will suffer.
Right. So Lee says to pick a time and place. The promo was fine. Lee's not my favorite on the mic, and this wasn't Cross's best segment. It was just a quick cut to him talking for not very long at all. So it was fine. It further promotes this match that I'm already looking forward to see what happens. Speculation seems to be that they're going to take it off Lee already. I don't know. That's what I hear a lot of people saying. That it's just, you can't slow Cross down at this point, right? Like, what do? Maybe Lee's gone, main roster.
Yeah. There's just a triple threat hype package.
Yep, highlighting each of the competitors. And then we get Imperium versus Everrise.
And it started with Marcel Bartel versus, I don't know what his first name was, but it was Bartel versus Martel.
Oh yeah,
which is funny.
We're told Everrise are now serious because they've seen how tough the NXT competition is. That feels like the Brazongo thing, that they're not going to be fun loving, they're going to be serious.
And they're still jobbers.
They still do
though.
the exact same thing. So Everrise takes control early with double teams moves, and this is about all the offense they're going to get.
Yeah.
Imperium take over and dominate Martel with quick tags and combination moves.
One thing I'd like to mention is
Yep.
that Phoenix mispronounces Fabian Eichner's last name. I think she said like Eichner or something.
Yeah, I
And it
think
was
that's
pretty funny.
The European Bomb for the win.
Yeah.
This was a squash match.
Attempt promo.
Yes.
And then
Hold on. Squash match, just to remind us who the tag team champions are. This division is hurting right now.
yeah, I'd like to mention quick. I just like they're a good tag team, but I feel like they just haven't been presented well as champions. They haven't been around a lot. Not a lot of meaningful defenses.
They need Walter, bud.
And yeah, they need Walter. And
Walter.
even just Alexander Wolf temporarily, like.
Without Walter, they're just. I don't know. They need Walter is all I can say. I don't know if you're aware of Walter or not, but
Walter is the leader of their Imperium faction.
And he's just a big man. He's just rough, tough, really good wrestler, fun to watch.
I said Roderick Strong's chops are good. His are nasty.
Yeah. So for me, I don't really care about them at all. They're a good tag team. Don't get me wrong. I really like Eichner.
Right.
I actually like the combination, but there's just nothing going on in
And
the
I
tag
think
division.
their reign has been very.
Start naming tag teams in NXT. Go.
Breezango, Undisputed Era, Everrise.
There's 3. The champs 4. That's about it, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's really not much going on there. So, Bartel starts to cut a promo and interrupted as the Undisputed
This
Era
is fantastic.
viciously
They
attack
just
him.
they just all bolted to the
And
ring.
this is what I'm hoping they're
It was
returning to.
fantastic.
Get away from the comedy, get back to just seriously doing
being
this.
badass.
Right? The strength in numbers sort of thing, that kind of idea. So the Undisputed Era is getting away from their lame comedy, hopefully back to more serious. It's like I'm hoping it's like almost a character reset for them.
If this happens, I'll be super happy because they're my favorite thing, especially Adam Cole.
And they experimented with comedy. It was bad, and hopefully they just reset them back.
I just don't think that's what they should be about.
No. So then we get a Bronson Reed promo after that.
Thick boy.
I actually really liked it. This guy, this is what NXT is for.
There was one thing I did not like though.
Yes,
So he mentioned Shawn Michaels winning the WWE title at WrestleMania 12, the boyhood dream, and then he said at TakeOver 30 the thick boy dream would come true, and that just made me instantly cringe. I was like, is he gonna be good though?
I had a feeling.
I was like, the package is like it was good, and then it was like he said that, I'm just like, ah.
So it's one of those character revealing, showing us his motivation, his lifelong love of wrestling. He is comfortable talking as himself here. I thought he did a good job. My opinion is changing of this guy, and this is what I love about NXT. I love it when I don't really like a guy that comes. I don't know him. He's not impressive.
Like I didn't like Velveteen Dream at first.
Yeah, they give him more chances. The guys grow as a character. Some people don't, some do, but it's fun to watch.
I still think he needs
try.
to grow more, but we're definitely getting there as long as they cut the thick boy crap.
I would actually say I like him now, and that's what 2-3 weeks ago I wouldn't have said that. Right, so
yeah,
I'm interested to see.
I'm getting there. I think they just need to cut this thick boy crap. I find it very annoying and cringy.
You have mentioned that, yes.
Yeah, it's just. I don't want to mention it too much, but it's just very like. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it's just like. It kind of just throws you off. It's like he was doing a good promo and then it just messes it up.
I did make a note of it. It was a bit.
It just kind of
too much at the
just
end.
takes you out of it and then you
So,
realize, like,
Regal then responds to the Cross Lee situation in like 4 seconds, basically. He
yeah,
says,
I know. I watched.
He will not be bullied into making matches, and opportunities will be earned, and that's it. He's gone.
I watched on YouTube before we even watched NXT. I was amazed how short it was. It was
very
like,
short.
Yeah.
So then we get Swerve Scott versus Jake Atlas. There's a brief inset promo by Atlas during his entrance. It wasn't very interesting to me. Lots of This is, I guess, a criticism. I have lots of acrobatics with no impact to start. So it's a lot of guys cartwheeling and flipping around.
I wrote handstand by Atlas.
So not really much is going on. That chair is clicking a lot. I can hear it. So be careful.
Sorry.
Drop kick by Atlas. Chop some kicks by Atlas. Kick to Atlas's face in the corner. A springboard blockbuster by Atlas.
That was nice. He got very good height, I think.
Yeah, that looked good. There were a couple things looked good. Back elbow by Scott. Uppercut by Atlas. Kick and the original Dirty Deeds, I called it. I don't know what it's actually called. To Scott for a near fall.
Driver?
Sure. Yes, that's what it is. Leaping flatliner by Scott for the 2 count. They both end up on the middle rope. Atlas hits Avalanche Murphy's Law, which actually looked really cool. Cartwheel DDT attempt.
I think
which is
that's
his
kind
finisher.
of a dumb finisher because
It
there's
is.
such like there's such a setup for it, and like it's just so easy
I
to.
think it's the
avoid.
Rainbow DDT. It's being called.
Yeah, because he's
Possibly. Yeah.
Because
He's gay, right? I believe.
yeah, so I think the name would make sense.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
Cartwheel DDT attempt, but kick to the face instead. House call to the outside by Scott.
Because he gets like
Looked
stuck
good.
in the ropes, which I think was actually quite an inventive spot.
Yeah, it
and
looked
it was
good.
nice.
I liked it. JML driver by Swerve for the win.
I wish he would just win with this house call, because I think the snap he gets is very nice on that. So I
It
think
is.
it's.
Atlas clearly put on the back burner after the cruiserweight sort of tournament or whatever that was.
Yeah.
He's fine. He has some really cool moves. His matches I haven't loved so far, but again, we'll give him a chance, right? I don't know. Haven't seen much of him.
I don't think I've ever seen him before.
He
so.
executes some pretty cool moves. It's just the entire match. It was okay.
And
And I like Swerve.
what's his character like? Just
He
this
doesn't
nice
have one yet.
guy, like.
They haven't focused on anything
Yeah,
really with
I
him,
guess,
so we'll
but-
see. Then we get an interview with Damian Priest backstage. This opportunity is made for him, and while his opponents in the triple threat are tough, he's going to win.
Yeah.
I do like that he takes a second to put the other people over, right?
So
He's
this
admitting
kinda-
they're good, but he's better.
Yeah, this sets up then. So this is going to be Damian Priest versus the debuting Ridge Holland versus Oni Lorcan.
Which, yeah, I don't know. That's the least appealing of the triple threats
Yeah,
to me.
I'd hope Damian Priest wins.
So
His
I have-
entrance is great.
Fine, whatever promo. Ridge Holland walks right into a triple threat match to qualify for a
Yeah,
title.
that
question
kind of
mark.
annoys me.
I kind of hope he
Like him
wins.
not,
I said
I
that.
guess.
Priest does nothing for me, and
And-
Loney I just can't
And we've
see.
also
winning.
got tag title match next week, Undisputed Era versus Imperium.
Yeah,
Woo!
we'll see. I feel like it's probably getting the belts off Imperium because
Yeah!
I couldn't have told you who had the belts. So the main event, we have a triple threat.
Oh yeah,
Loomis,
main event.
Thatcher, and Balor. I had that. My first point is Balor feels like less of a star being in the ring with these two guys. No offense to them, but
Yeah, I've
I
been
think the idea is
disappointed
he's
by his-
supposed to elevate them, but that's not what it felt like to me. It felt like Balor's.
I've been disappointed by his heel run. I was excited when he came back to NXT because I think he needed it, and now it's just like I think it's been wasted. I think he should have been maybe won the NXT North American title earlier because I think he just needs to be relevant again.
I liked the heel bit he was doing for a while there, and then it
Yeah.
seemed to sort of just stall.
Yeah, it's like John Gargano was good at first. I think just Balor needs to be. He needs some air of relevancy again.
He does,
Like,
and this wasn't it.
he hasn't
I think
been
we can
relevant
agree.
since he lost to the Fiend and got destroyed,
Right.
and that was August. That's-
It seems
nearly
like
a
they
year
have
ago.
no ideas on what they're doing with him right now.
which is kind of disappointing.
It is. He's good, but again, I don't know. They got to
We'll
let the
see.
young guys
Only
shine.
time will tell.
So Balor and Thatcher start as Loomis stands motionless and watches for a second.
Yeah,
He
that
eventually
was
gets involved and throws both of them outside. Huge front flip by Loomis.
I think he's going for a tope.
landing
It's
on
like-
his feet, I think. But
Yeah,
the
it was-
camera angle was a bit dodgy,
Yeah, I think it was so big because I saw he did it like it was more slingshot.
which is impressive. For
yeah,
he's a big,
I remember
big
Ricochet
dude.
doing that once, but like no rope. He literally just jumped over and did a
And the
front flip.
contrast of him though, because Loomis works so slow and methodical, and then
Yeah.
maybe this kid
And I think it's
is
just
athletic.
like that jump over the steps he did last week, which we
Yeah, looked
covered.
good. So Loomis works methodical pace on Balor. Thatcher briefly intervenes and Loomis throws him outside. Balor takes control, attacking Loomis's ankle. Thatcher comes back to uppercut Loomis, belly to belly for 2 on Loomis. Wrist lock by Thatcher. Balor back on the apron. Loomis is down. Thatcher knocks Balor off the top rope, and we head to a commercial. Back from the commercial with Loomis and Thatcher in the ring. Loomis and Balor and Thatcher face off. Thatcher gains control with an uppercut and knees on the ground. Balor grabs Thatcher's fingers. Thatcher hits a body slam. Forearm exchange. Loomis returns to punch some more. I noticed he does a lot of punching.
Oh yeah, he does like the Kane and used to do it a lot. It's like kind of like a throat shot where like
Yeah.
he kind of goes like it's almost an uppercut. But, like,
Yeah.
it's like he goes like.
A lot of slowly advancing and punching.
Yeah.
Bulldog to Thatcher. Pele to Loomis. Balor dominates both until wrapped around the ring post. Thatcher stretches Balor's knee and Loomis interferes.
He kind of like crotches him in the post.
Yeah, and then that's what I thought too, but then he starts selling the leg. Like he hurt his
Gallows
leg.
and Anderson did that to the New Day. I remember that, and like when I first started watching wrestling,
Yes.
and like Big E was injured, and then like, he returned at SummerSlam, and that was like 4 years ago, and I still remember it.
That's
and,
good. Well, you remember everything.
Yeah.
Thatcher and Loomis are back in the ring. Loomis spinebuster, but no follow-up, which I thought was strange. He just kind of walks away and starts walking around. Jumping kick to Loomis, leg screw to Balor. Side effect counter by Loomis. Coup de grace. Thatcher breaks up the pin. Ankle lock to Balor. by Thatcher. Loomis locks in.
I thought it was more of a knee bar, but
could be
because I think he's targeting the leg, so
sure.
So, but I don't know.
You
Whatever
probably
you
know better.
think.
Loomis locks in his silence submission while
Yeah,
Thatcher
sure.
has his leg submission, and Thatcher passes out, which was kind of cool. So Loomis.
It was a nice finish, but I'm not happy that he won.
I'm sure you're not. Loomis to take over. Not a great match. It was kind of slow at times. Balor feels, like I said, like less of a star for being involved rather than sort of elevating the other two.
Yeah.
Loomis's character is interesting. In ring, he's passable. I don't think he's great, but he's not terrible either.
Part of what has made me like him less now is I've been watching some of his work in Impact, and it just kind of now this just kind of disappoints me a bit because it's not.
It was an
don't
even
find it
darker,
interesting.
edgier, more specific in Impact. Here, it's just kind of like, well, he's creepy and he stares, and that's all we got.
Yeah, and he has no purpose, and like, it's just very stupid.
So we'll see. He's okay in the ring. He's not great. I like Thatcher more than I thought I would, but he's not a title contender at this point, I don't think. So this North American title chase is clearly, it seems to be focused on making new stars, and I don't have a problem with that. So I feel like that's kind of what that belt should be for.
I find it interesting that Bronson Reed and Dex Loomis were, I think, first round opponents in that tournament last year, and now they're both in the ladder match.
So who is it in the ladder match so far? Just
those two.
Those two,
Bronson,
right?
Thick Boy and Silent Boy.
Right. Okay. So that sort of finishes NXT. I didn't think it was a great
Nothing
episode.
particularly interesting, but
no, just
still
sort of
tolerable.
Scrolling back through the notes, right? Like, was there anything I really loved? Probably
I think the highlight was the opening match.
I would agree. Gargano Strong was fine, but yes,
But I think still affected by the fact that Gargano's not at his best.
Right. The women's match was really good. Enjoyed it. The Strong Gargano match was good.
I think Mercedes Martinez match is kind of a pointless squash.
Just sort of those filler matches, right?
I think I think it was better than the Imperium thing because she's not young but like new to NXT, so I think it's important to build her. But I think it's fine overall.
I would say this week though, so I'm going to start asking you at the end. AEW or NXT this week? I'm
AEW,
saying me too.
definitely. I think
considerably. Probably.
It's just I don't think NXT's been the same.
Well, and
for a while.
that promo, right? MJF, that was the highlight of the week for me. And I know people are probably gushing all over the place, and so are we, but it was amazing.
It was great.
Good. All right, so a couple more things. We're going to move into our last sort of wrestling specific before Jack discusses his figures for the week.
I've got a few things here, but
for
do you have
any other
anything?
Wrestling business, right?
Do you have anything?
I did. I wanted to talk about, we watched, the first half or 2/3 of Raw. And I just wanted to say Sasha and Asuka have had two amazing matches.
That's one of my things was that she won the Raw Women's title.
Both with poor finishes though, right? Like I didn't love either, like the Bailey putting on the referee thing.
The second finish is better though, I feel like.
I don't understand why the video production truck cuts to a random video.
That's
Kylie
fair.
Sane yelling and screaming, but bottom line, those Sasha Banks I think is the hottest thing in wrestling right now, pretty much as far as I'm concerned, and she and Asuka had amazing matches, so good for them.
Speaking of Bailey, she retained yesterday retained her title against Nikki Cross, and Nikki Cross would I don't exactly know why because I didn't watch SmackDown, but shoved Alexa Bliss and she was kind of sitting in the middle of the ring, and the Fiend would attack her or just kind of like walk around her and then like kind of like put his hand up and then like eventually put in the mandible claw. And I think so, at least within kayfabe, he's made people kind of go back to, they're in theory best form because Seth Rollins hasn't exactly worked out. But anyways, in theory, heel Seth Rollins was very good when it first came around, right? And that was like his best bit, right? And Daniel Bryan went back to being a babyface, which was obviously his best time. Heel Miz came back, and who did he face? Heel Finn Balor, because I guess that can harken back to his time in Japan. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a slim chance she could be involved in the Firefly Funhouse, and then more so I think it'll lead to her returning to her heel character.
Good.
Which I think I would love that, because I feel like her team with Nikki Cross has been fine for the most part, but I feel like she's really just kind of stuck in a rut right now.
Yes, she is. And our listeners should know they're probably going to get a lot of Fiend updates in this any other wrestling business.
Yeah, because he's fantastic.
Priorities, which is fine.
I actually just rewatched his match with Finn Balor recently, just to remind myself.
I had one more thing last night. Late night viewing. I sometimes go through the network and watch weird stuff. I was watching, I think it was New Blood Rising 2000.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
I was
2001.
watching a video and they as like worst pay-per-views in
The
their
opener,
opinion, and that was
say
one.
what you will, the opener was 3 Count versus Young Dragons with a gold record and a contract.
Oh
hanging
yeah,
above.
yeah.
There's some.
That's why would you put that in a ladder
WCW
match?
opening matches, you could just go and watch a compilation of their openers, and I would be happy. It's all super fast paced, big spots, fun matches.
Yeah.
Don't knock it till you've tried it. So there you go. I'm recommending go watch that match from a terrible, terrible era of World Championship Wrestling,
Yeah.
but some good stuff on the undercard. Anything else from you?
No, I went through my 3 things, so.
All right. So our last segment is exclusively Jack. I'll be here to sort of listen, but it's
Yeah.
called Figuring It Out with Jack, where he's going to update us on the world of wrestling figures, one of his passions, and then we'll wrap up after that. So Jackson, take it away.
I've got 6 things, but it shouldn't take too long, I hope.
Go ahead.
And so they've revealed the packaging and the official version of the Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt ringside exclusive, because so they showed a prototype with it, and so they had painted on the sweater, but it still had the belly button hole, and they fixed that now, which is nice, so it looked better. But people are complaining because it still has the black pants, which is inaccurate because he wore like khakis. Anyways,
Wow.
they also revealed the packaging, which is pretty nice. It comes with all the puppets and
You
it's
figure
very nice.
people are right into the details. Eh? It's got to be right. I like it.
yeah, and so yeah, I'm definitely gonna want that. So
Sure.
remember.
Yeah.
And then AEW Unrivaled 2, it's going to include Hangman Adam Page,
Nice.
which is nice. John Moxley, which is nice.
Meh.
Got
Nice
Lucha Bros, Pentagon Jr.
Love
and
that.
Ray Phoenix, and we
Ooh.
got MJF and Dustin Rhodes.
Pentagon's ring gear.
And
Always
this
the
is a
best.
fantastic set. I mean, I love Hangman, I love Moxley, I love Lucha Bros, I love MJF, and Dustin Rhodes is a nice inclusion.
Have you seen reviews of people actually using their figures yet? Like, are they nice? No, nothing yet.
Well, I've only seen a review of the Chris Jericho Bubbly exclusive. And actually, I will mention that in one of my other ones is, so there's some back orders on Ringside Collectibles,
Yep.
which is the first series of
They should sponsor us.
AEW figures, and on September 1st. And I actually have a birthday box still coming, and so, yeah, I have my suspicions.
Yes,
Wink,
there's
wink.
a box that was due to current
And
situations.
AEW Chris Jericho, the
PSD.
Bubbly exclusive, a little bit of the Bubbly exclusive, which is on back order.
Yep.
And then Triple H in China Elite 2 pack.
Really?
Yeah, that's on back order. And AEW's Meet 'em Ring, which is like the spring-loaded ones.
Cool.
And then, so we've got pre-orders, which is Basic Series 111, which will include actually a basic Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt and a nice Jeff Hardy. So, you know, I love
Face
those
paint?
with the face paint. Yeah,
Of
pretty
course,
nice
it's
one.
important detail.
And Nikki Cross Chase variant. Anyways, then we got Series 112.
Nice.
Don't remember anything particular. Oh, I think Bobby Lashley. That's
I
all I
like
remember.
Bobby Lashley.
Series 113, which has Mia Yim, I think.
Ooh.
Gross. And then we've got Elite 79, Elite 80, and then the Top Picks 2021 series, which will include another Fiend figure
Ooh, boy.
up for pre-order, and as well as Battle Packs Series 67. And so Ultimate Edition Series 6 is supposed to include The Rock and Charlotte Flair, but interestingly enough, the Charlotte Flair is now a Ringside Collectibles exclusive. We saw something similar with this a little while back when they're supposed to do an NXT TakeOver line, which I think had, so it was it was supposed to be Andrade, non-Undisputed Era, Roderick Strong, Titus O'Neil from like NXT game show NXT,
Wow.
and Hideo Itami. Hideo Itami was canceled because he left.
Right.
And then they just got rid of Titus O'Neil, and since they were releasing the Undisputed Era Roderick Strong, which was Elite 72, they got rid of the Roderick Strong, and Andrade became a ringside exclusive. So I think it might be something similar to that. Although I think they're still releasing The Rock. Anyways, so I think just kind of weird that she's supposed to be in the normal series, and now she's an exclusive, you know?
I've never heard you speed talk. You sound like your mother when we started dating.
Yeah, it's just
Speed
just
talker.
kind of weird. But anyways, that's going to wrap up figuring it out.
So let me. You don't want to talk about any of the ones you got for your
Oh,
birthday?
I guess, sure.
Let's see if I remember. Hold on. Bray Wyatt that you really wanted.
Elite 77 Fiend.
Sorry, Fiend. Pete Dunne.
Elite 75.
Jeff Hardy with 3 heads.
Elite 71.
And what else was in that box?
Elite WrestleMania 36 Kofi Kingston and 2 tables.
And 2 tables. And then,
I got a Matt Hardy, which is a duplicate, but then I ended up buying
went on a
Elite WrestleMania 36 Booker T, so I completed the referee Build-A-Figure. I also bought Elite 75 Seth Rollins, Elite 72 Rey Mysterio, and then Elite 74 AJ Styles and Finn Balor. And Basic 107
Yes.
Bianca Belair.
Those he spent his own money on, so
Lots of money.
he did. But that's,
Yeah, still got money though.
that's great.
Yeah. Alright, now that'll wrap it up
So
for
yes,
reals.
that will officially wrap up episode 2 of the FNS Wrestling Podcast. We thank you as always for joining
Yeah.
us. You can check us out on our YouTube channel, obviously.
Yeah. And if you haven't listened to episode 1 for some reason, then please do, because we might mention some stuff, and we have mentioned some stuff from the last episode, so just so that you kind of know what's going on, make sure to watch that.
Yep.
And
So we're FNS Wrestling on YouTube. We have email address
yep.
fnswrestling@gmail.com, and on Instagram.
FNS_wrestling_podcast, no capitals. And you can give us a follow. We'll have podcast updates too, which reminds me, I forgot to update people today, but I'm sure this will be uploading soon.
Trying to get things
after
up
this,
Saturday
so-
evenings. It looks like our routine right now.
So
Saturday
it
evening,
looks
Saturday
to be
night.
uploading Saturday evening. I'll probably put up a post, so
Yep.
don't forget to give us a follow.
Thanks everyone. I'm really enjoying doing this.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're getting better. The sound quality I'm still messing around with. It sounded okay last week. I'm not sure what
It's
it'll
another
sound
thing
like
to
this week.
do.
But yes, we're having a lot of fun doing it, so thank you for giving us a bit of your time.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend,
Yeah.
and we look forward to hearing you
And
next
if you
week.
listen to this, if it's too long, we apologize, and you don't have to listen to it in one sitting.
That is true. We're having fun, and we like to
But
talk.
as long as you listen to it in some capacity, we will be happy. So thank you very much.
Have a great end to your weekend, and we'll see you all next week.